Hey everybody, welcome to Black Cat Forge. I'm so glad you're here. We got a fun project to make. You're going to learn a couple of really cool new skills. So I really hope you're going to enjoy today's video. But before we get into what we're going to do, please go ahead and hit like and subscribe and hit the little notification bell. That way you know when we drop a new video, you're going to be one of the first to know. And also I know you're liking what you're seeing, and it just keeps me motivated to keep making this content for you. So what are we talking about doing today? Well, right now as I look outside, it's turning fall as I'm filming this. And when you think of fall, one of the things you think of is leaves. And as a blacksmith, you will make leaves a lot, especially when you're doing work and you want to make it decorative. For an example, this is out of Square Bar. This is a project I'm doing for a class that I'm taking. This is going to be a key rack. I'm going to put a picture up here just so you can see it a little bit more in detail. And it's supposed to look like a vine, and at the end of the vine is a leaf. So this is the one type that you can make. The other type is this is made out of angle iron. This was 3 separate pieces, and I just welded them together. And I'll put a picture up here just so you can see a little bit more detail. This is more for like if you're going to make a trivet or you want to add leaves to a stem like you're making a flower. But the angle iron makes a really nice type of leaf, and it's really a different way of texturing it. So we want to talk about that. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and we're going to start with this first, and then we'll go to the angle iron later. So all we need right now is just a piece of Square Bar. So we're going to get this hot in the forge, and then you can join me at the anvil. All right, so before I put this in the forge, I want to talk about what our plan is for making this leaf. If you've been following my series, when we were talking about making spade hook, we're going to be doing something very similar, but we're going to also be doing the leaf part a little different by isolating it. So we will start out with, at the edge, we're going to make a taper to a point. So when you make your leaf, you have a choice. If you draw it out to a very long taper, you'll have a long leaf. If you bring it to a stubby point, you will have a shorter leaf. Also, a lot also depends on how much you bring out. I'm going to do a stubby point, and I'll probably just use about that much for my leaf. So I'm going to get this hot, and then we're going to actually start doing the steps. And then I'm going to show you how to isolate your steel. And once we get it isolated, we'll draw out our stem, and then we'll make our leaf. So just like always, we're going to bring our steel to the edge, tilt it up a little bit, and we're just going to work on getting our taper out. Get everything straightened up. We're going to put it back in the fire. So we're just going to finish out this paper. All right, so we've got it drawn out to a taper. The next step is I'm going to get it hot, and I'm going to bring it back here on the anvil, and I'm going to hold it at a 45-degree angle, and I'm going to hit it, and then I'm going to turn it and hit it. And I'm going to go back and forth a few times, and I'm going to isolate the portion that's going to be my leaf. Now, the one thing you have to be aware of is you don't want to hit this thing so hard that you only have a teeny tiny piece of metal holding this leaf on. Because what will happen is as you're drawing out your stem portion first, the shock waves of doing the work, even though you're using hot steel, it's going to eventually fall off, and you're going to lose your leaf, and you're going to lose a lot of work. So try to keep it at least half the steel on there. All we're doing is we're isolating it. So then when we draw the stem down, it's a lot easier to get the stem drawn out before we make the leaf. So that's going to be our next step. So I'm going to put this here. That's as much I'm going to make for my leaf. I'm going to hit it. And I'm doing half on, half off blows. I forgot to mention that. So as you can see, we've got this isolated right now. I'm going to probably do just a little bit more in the isolation after I heat it up. And then we will start drawing this. We're not drawing this out. We're going to start rounding this. And we're going to start rounding it down till we have a nice stem. And then we will make the leaf. So as I said, I don't want to make this super small. That's about where I want to go. I don't want to run the risk of losing my leaf part. But now we're just going to start taking this part here. We're going to hit on the diamonds and we're going to take the edges off. And then we're going to start rounding this out. So just like all the other rounding we've done, we're just going to start spinning our steel as we just start tapping it down to get it round. I'm not going to draw out a huge stem. I just want to get enough just so you see the concept. And again, all we're doing is we're just rounding. Just like we've done on a lot of our other videos, if you've been following along. We're just going to get this down to a nice size. This will probably take a few heats and beats, so I will probably come back to you once we're ready to make the leaf. All right, so I've been working on the stem, and normally if I was going to do a vine, I would draw the stem out much further. But for this demonstration purposes, you can see that I got this rounded right to the size about where I necked it down when I isolated the steel. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get this part really, really hot. And I prefer to lay it on the diamond when I hit it. You can hit it on the flat if you want. I just prefer doing it on the diamond because there's more mass and it's going to spread out quicker. And we're just going to draw out to a shape of a leaf. The one thing to be conscious of is when you're doing this is, yes, you can hammer your leaf out till it's paper thin. And I'm very guilty of doing that, but I'm going to try to leave a little bit of thickness in this leaf. It's a little bit more sturdy and it will last longer. You don't have to worry about it bending or when you do your chisel work of cutting through it. So that's going to be the very next thing, is we're going to get this hot and we're going to start spreading out the leaf. So I've got it nice and hot. I've got it on the diamond. And I'm just going to go right down the center. And all my goal is right now just to start getting the leaf shape. And that's where I want to stop. I still have plenty of thickness, so I can draw this out some more. And what I'll do now is on my next heat, I'm going to start working the sides to draw them out, get this just a little bit thinner, and that'll be our leaf shape. Now, as I'm doing this, I just want you to think, when you're making a leaf, this is your own project. You don't have to make it look exactly like mine. It's your project, your design, how you want it to look. So I've got this side drawn out. I'm just going to work this side and a little bit of refining, and then we'll call it good. Now we're going to work the other side, draw it out. So right there, that's not bad. The only thing I really want to change is I don't like that. I mean, I know in nature nothing's perfect, but I want to heat this up and I want to draw this out just a tad so it's symmetrical. And we'll call this leaf good and we'll decorate it. So I'm just going to fix this one little area right here. And there we go. It's all good. So I'm going to heat this up and then we're going to do our veins on our leaf. So now I've got it hot. And I'm going to do is I'm going to take my chisel and I'm just going to kind of just walk it forward. If you were watching my video where we made the chisel, remember we made it a little round just so we can walk it down the steel. So we have our center line, and then we're going to come off our center line. We're just going to put some slant cuts in here. It's your leaf, you can decorate it any way you want. And always remember to cool your chisel off when you're done. And right there, that is how you make a leaf out of square bar. So we're going to cut, we're going to come back, and then I'm going to show you how to make a leaf out of angle iron. We just finished making this type of leaf out of square bar. And as I said, this is more likely the type of leaf you're going to make most of the time when you're doing your blacksmithing. But there are times you're going to need to make some additional leaves that can either be forge welded or MIG welded on to your work. And just like what I had showed you earlier. And this is going to come from angle iron. So how do we do this? I'm going to put a picture up here of this. I've drawn the outline of a leaf on this angle iron. And I left the stem kind of wide because the stem is what we're going to use to hold while we do the work, and then we'll roll the stem up at the end. Now you can make the stem as long or as short as you wish or as wide as you wish, depending on what you're working on. And depending on what you're going to attach it to. I would suggest you leave at least an inch, if not more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the angle grinder. I'm going to cut this out. And once I get it cut out, we'll come back to the anvil and we'll start working on it. So after cutting this out, this is our rough shape of our leaf. I did go over it with the belt sander just to get the rough edges off. And it's probably a good idea when you do cut things out like this, that you do go over it with a file or a belt sander or a flat disc, just so there's not any rough pieces. When we finish the leaf, I will go over it again and make sure I get all the points off. But my next step is I'm going to put this back in the fire and I'm going to get all the paint off of it. And then once I get the paint off of it, we will come back and I'm going to show you the first step in making the leaf. So after getting most of the paint off, the first step we're going to do is I'm going to put this back in and I'm going to get this hot. I'm going to let it get really hot so it bends well. And my goal is, one, I'm going to put it here with the spine up and the leaves at the bottom, is I don't want to flatten this completely. I'm going to work my hammer up the spine, and all I want to do is I want to let the leaves spread out, and I want to leave this spine as the vein in my leaf. We may go back and adjust it a little bit, but just my main goal is just to let this thing spread out on its own. So that is step one. So now I got it hot. All I'm going to do is just work my hammer up and down the spine. And I'm just letting the leaf take its own shape. I'm going to heat this up and I'm going to continue this on. And all we're doing is we're just continuing to work this. And I think that looks pretty darn good right there. I like that. So the next step we're going to do is we're going to take this leaf and I'm going to lay it halfway on the anvil like this. Let me find a better spot. And all I'm going to do is then I'm going to take my peen, the cross peen for my hammer, and I'm going to work up here at an angle. I'm going to lay my leaf here and we're going to go back over that again, get it hot again. Okay, so we got this side done. So now we're just going to come over here and we'll have to find a good way to get this on here. The other side's always the most awkward side for me to do. Probably do it right here. Yeah, that'll work. So we'll do this here. We're going to get this hot and we'll be right back. So we're going to now get this next portion here. Oh, it's kind of hard to get it this side. Just a little awkward for me. Okay, let's get that hot again and we'll finish up our decorating the leaf. Camera. And I'm just going to turn it over, let it spread back out. So there we have it. You'll see a much better pattern once I get it cleaned up with the wire brush. So the last step we have to do is I've got to get this stem hot and I've just got to work it and get it round and we will have this finished. So all I'm going to do for this is I'm just going to start spinning this around as I work the hammer just to take the edges off and get it round. Okay, so there you have it. I'm going to go take this and run the cut brush over it real quick. And I want to just show you what it looks like when it's finished. I'll be right back. So I just went over this with the cut brush and got it cleaned up. I even just went ahead and put some beeswax on it to finish it. So it's got a really nice sheen to it. And the beeswax still hasn't dried yet. But that's what that looks like. The design is up to you. You can use, if you have butcher tools or something else you want to use, you can use that as well. You don't have to use the peen of your hammer. But I like these leaves. And like I said, these are more for add-ons. If you're going to like add on to a plant or another thing. So I'm going to move the camera and I'm going to do some final comments and this video will be done. All right, so we have wrapped up this project. I hope you enjoyed it. You know, we've learned how to make this type of leaf, and we've learned how to make this type of leaf. And this is not always the same type of markings you have to make on your leaf. As you get advanced in your skills, you can have butcher tools that can make different types of markings on your leaves. I'm just showing you the basics. And leaves are one of those things that you're going to always make at some point in your career. And it's always good when you have time to get some spare metal, some scrap metal, and practice. The more you practice, the better they're going to come out, the better they're going to look each time you make them. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. Please hit like and subscribe if you haven't. Our viewer count's going up. By hitting likes, it just keeps me motivated to make this content for you. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them down below. I'm more than happy to answer them for you. So until we come back, hopefully in a week, have a good week, blacksmith safe, and I'll see you later.